Imagine this. You just bought your dream house. It's big, beautiful, quiet, the kind of place you'd raise your kids, build memories, and grow old in. But then, the letters start. I've been watching this house for decades. Bring me young blood. You won't like what happens if you change it. And suddenly, your dream becomes a trap, a prison, because someone is always watching. This isn't a ghost story. This isn't fiction. This is The Watcher. And it's one of the most chilling, unsolved modern stalker cases in American history. Before we dive deeper into this chilling real-life mystery, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let's go back to the summer of 2014. Derek and Maria Broaddus were riding high. They had just closed on a stunning 6-bedroom home in Westfield, New Jersey, 657 Boulevard. It cost them $1.3 million, but it was worth it. The neighborhood was beautiful, peaceful, safe. The kind of place where neighbors wave, kids ride their bikes, and families stay for generations. Maria had grown up just a few blocks away. This wasn't just a house. This was coming home. Derek, a senior vice president at an insurance company, had worked hard to reach this point. This house symbolized success, safety, stability. They had 3 kids, ages 5, 8, and 10, and the biggest debate in the house was which fireplace Santa would come down. Life was good. Until Derek checked the mailbox. Inside was a single white envelope, no return address. Just clunky, almost childish handwriting. To the new owner. Derek opened it. The note began with a strange kind of warmth. Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. But within seconds, it turned cold. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s. My father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out. The writer knew things. They mentioned the Broaddus' minivan, the workers doing renovations, even commented on the children. You have children. I have seen them. So far, I think there are 3. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Young blood. A phrase that would become the heart of the Watcher's obsession. And the letter ended with one chilling line. Welcome, my friends. Welcome. Let the party begin. Signed, The Watcher. Derek ran through the house, turning off lights. He didn't know who was watching. A neighbor? Someone parked nearby? Someone in the woods? Then he called the police. The officer read the letter and asked, "What the is this?" That was all they could offer. Shock. No solutions. The next morning, Derek and Maria emailed the previous owners, the Woodses. Had they ever received anything like this? And to their surprise, yes. Just before moving out, the Woodses got a similar letter from the Watcher. Odd, vague, creepy. But it was the only one they ever got. They threw it away. For the Broadduses, it had only just begun. Days later, another letter arrived. Now the Watcher was addressing them by name, though misspelled. They mentioned the children's nicknames, ones Maria only ever shouted in the yard. They referenced a child seen painting on an easel inside the porch. That porch was hidden from the street, which meant someone was watching the house from up close, maybe even from next door. Will the young blood play in the basement? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Let that sit for a moment. That's not just someone playing games. That's someone fantasizing. The Broadduses stopped bringing their kids to the house. They began suspecting everyone. The neighborhood that once felt warm now felt like a trap. At a welcome barbecue across the street, Derek and Maria scanned every face. Was it the man with the sunglasses? The couple asking too many questions? The guy who smiled a little too long? Everyone became a suspect. One neighbor mentioned the Langfords, a family living right next door. several adult siblings in their 60s still living with their elderly mother. One son, Michael Langford, was especially odd. Didn't work. Had a beard like Hemingway. Kept to himself. But his house had the perfect line of sight to the porch, and the Langfords had lived there since the 1960s. Just like the watcher claimed, Derek was sure it was Michael. The police interviewed him. He denied everything. There was no evidence, and frustratingly, nothing more could be done. The Broadduses were unraveling. Derek installed cameras. Maria went to therapy. They started taking sleeping pills. They were living with Maria's parents, still paying the mortgage on a house they were too afraid to enter. Then came a third letter. Where have you gone to? 657. Boulevard is missing you. Eventually, the story leaked and exploded. National media, cameras, reporters camping outside.
Disturbing letters sent to the family who bought it. The family bought their dream home in New Jersey, never moving in after getting frightening letters from someone calling themselves the Watcher.
With the media coverage came the internet. Everyone had a theory. Some said the Broadduses made it all up, a hoax to get out of an expensive home. Some said it was guerrilla marketing for a horror film. Others said it had to be a neighbor, someone who felt the house belonged to them. Online sleuths scoured Google Maps. One user thought they saw a man with a camera inside a parked car in front of the house. Another proposed ground-penetrating radar to find what the Watcher claimed was in the walls. No theory could be proven. A fourth letter came. Different tone. To the vile and spiteful Derek and his wench of a wife, Maria. I watched as you watched from the dark house. Telescopes and binoculars are wonderful inventions. Maybe a car accident. Maybe a fire. Maybe a sickness that never goes away. The investigation reopened briefly when DNA from the envelope turned out to be female. That pointed suspicion to Michael's sister, Abby Langford. But when investigators tested her discarded water bottle, it didn't match. Another dead end. Then came the moment that left everyone speechless. Turns out, the Broadduses weren't the only ones. Another family on Boulevard had received a similar letter years earlier. But like the Woodses, they dismissed it. They didn't have small children. They didn't feel threatened. They threw it away. That's when Derek broke. In a moment of rage, isolation, and pure desperation, he sent anonymous letters back to neighbors who had accused them online. Signed, Friends of the Broaddus family. He never told Maria. But after years of being stalked, ridiculed, and ignored, Derek wanted them to feel what it was like. Eventually, they sold the house at a loss. They never lived in it. Not for a single night. The Watcher was never caught. No charges, no identity, no justice. To this day, people still walk past 657 Boulevard and shiver. The house looks like any other, but inside, it holds the shattered hopes of a family who wanted nothing more than to live in peace. And somewhere out there, maybe next door, maybe across town, the Watcher still waits, still watches, still obsessed with young blood. So I ask you, if you bought your dream home and received a letter like that, would you stay? Would you risk it? Would you let your kids sleep there? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious what you think. And if you like this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more real horror stories, and remember, not every monster hides under your bed. Some of them live right next door.